So, good news! You just received a work invitation from Poland. Now, the possibility of living in Warsaw, Poland, not the one in Indiana, is real. They offer you health insurance and a few other perks that are attractive at first glance. But we still didn't enter into details of cost of living in Warsaw, right? And just between us, we know this is not what you want to know. You still have no idea if your income, minus the living costs in Warsaw, allows you to have a good life. So you run your eyes through the email and find it, the proposed salary. So great, they offer you X thousand zlotys. But what that does really mean? During my first year in Warsaw, I was spending just the necessary. Food, a roof over my head shared with another person, in a district in the city outskirts, transport pass, and once or twice per month a night out to drink in a local pub. Rarely eating out, no shopping sprees, and a gym pass that costs less than 70 zlotys per month. That, 5 years ago, it was what I call just enough. So here we're gonna talk about different standards of living. For example, what I mean by comfortably is a small place to live by yourself. A place not far from the city, but also not in Alejo Jazdowski, where are all the embassies in Warsaw, or other fancy addresses. This definition includes occasional dinners in middle-range restaurants, annual trips, and a healthy amount of entertainment. But no private schools if you have kids, they can be expensive, at least for Polish standards. On the other hand, the standard of very comfortably is the definition that requires the least explanation. It is the complete package with weekends spent at rooftop bars and fancy bistros, plenty of international trips, and a nice apartment near some embassy. Plus, education for your children in international private schools. How much is just enough to live in Warsaw? Probably this is the section tending to polemics, and before everything, I'm just recording all that and making all those numbers from 2021, so it's not considering inflation after that. The students that survive in semi-expired food, it's not a shame, I was one of them not long ago, will say that you can survive on much less than that. Young couples who need international travel every semester may say that this is not enough. Be aware that any value below in this entire article is netto. That means money on hand. Depending on your contract, the discounts over your total salary can be very significant, so to use gross numbers can be misleading. All disclaimers made, here go the incomes that I consider just enough to live in Warsaw. Single person, 2,500 zlotys per month. In fact, I was living with much less than that when I came to Warsaw. Cost of sharing a 35 square meter apartment in the district of Praga, 1,000 zlotys per person. Young couple, 4,500 zlotys per month. Cost to rent a 35 square meter apartment in Praga district, 2,000 zlotys per couple. Family with 2 kids, 7,000 zlotys per month. Cost of 55 square meter apartment in Bielani, 3,000 zlotys per month. It's important to stress that I'm considering public education at this point, which is regularly offered in the Polish language. Now let's talk about living comfortably in Warsaw and how much do you need. The values I will tell you include provisions to build slowly a savings account or a private retirement fund. Single person, 6,500 zlotys per month. Cost of living alone in a 36 square meter apartment in the middle class district, 2,500 zlotys. Young couple, 9,000 zlotys per month. Cost of a 45 square meter apartment in the middle class district, 3,200 zlotys per couple. Family with 2 kids, 13,500 zlotys per month. Cost of a 70 square meter apartment in the middle class district, 4,500 zlotys per month. And here I'm still considering public education. And how much do you need to live very comfortably in Warsaw? A single person, 12,000 zlotys per month. Cost of living alone in a 70 square meter apartment near Rondo ONZ, the financial district of Warsaw, 6,000 zlotys. Now, a young couple to have a very comfortable life, they will need around 18,500 zlotys per month. And that's paying the same 6,000 zlotys mentioned in the previous case of the single person. And a family with 2 kids to have a very comfortable life in Warsaw will need around 31,000 zlotys per month. Cost of a 200 square meter apartment in an upscale district, 13,000 zlotys per month. And here we are already starting to talk about private education. So why you should never compare the cost of living in Warsaw with other cities in Poland? The answer to this is simple, because Warsaw is much more expensive than any other Polish city. And here not considering resort cities like Sopot or Zakopane. So the question how expensive is living in Poland totally depends if we are talking about Warsaw or let's say Rzeszów. Cities in the eastern part of Poland, often called impolitely Poland B, are famous for having very attractive prices, and it's not uncommon to find living costs that are half of a similar standard in Warsaw. Even a touristic hotspot like Krakow is considerably cheaper than Warsaw. In fact, nowadays, the Polish capital has prices comparable to Berlin. Now let's talk about a comparison between Warsaw and London. London is one of the most popular cities for young professionals to relocate to work. Is it the best choice though? Warsaw and London are two great cities for young professionals, but if you are looking for a lower cost of living and higher quality of life, Warsaw should be your pick. Living in the city center costs less in Warsaw. 1 month of public transport in London is equivalent to half a year of city transport pass in Warsaw. The median rent price for a one-bedroom apartment in the middle of the financial center of Warsaw, near Rondo ONZ, the most expensive part of the town, is roughly 6,000 zlotys, less than 1,200 British pounds. This would barely cover a studio in the outskirts of London. So yeah, the salaries in London are also higher than in Warsaw, but often not in the same proportion that the costs in the English capital are much higher. In addition to rent being cheaper, food and transportation are also much less expensive in Warsaw than in London. So, living in Warsaw is not as expensive as in other European capitals, but it's a lot more expensive than in a small Polish town. Considering a very frugal lifestyle, one could live with less than 2,500 zlotys per month by sharing an apartment. The cheapest place to live in Warsaw is Praga district, which is in the right bank of the Vistula River. The average price for an apartment per month there is around 1,800 zlotys, which means 3,090 euro. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and remember to subscribe to our channel for the next ones.